Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to another video. Before getting into this video, I want to point out that all of the footage in this video comes from the second stream of my Dispatch gameplay on my YouTube streams. If you want to watch the whole stream, I'll link it in the description through the video, and enjoy this video. Yo, what's going on, guys? Patrickplayz here. Today, in this video, we're going to be talking about the game Dispatch. Now, if you haven't played the game or haven't heard of the game, first off, I definitely recommend checking out the game. It's really entertaining and very fun to play and to watch. It has a very rich story in the game, and honestly, genuinely probably the best game that adapts to your choices within the game. Now, before getting into this video, I want to point out that this will be my review of the game. Then I'll be predicting kind of what I think will the game be going into the direction, but it won't be that much because I don't really know where they're going to take the game because the game hasn't really been announced of a second season. And then what I suggest for the next season of Dispatch. Starting off with the review. I want to first quickly say that the game is quite entertaining, has a rich story, and really gets in depth about pretty much majority of the characters. We learn a lot about each character with included flashbacks and many more, which is actually very awesome to see, and it shows a very familiar and similar to games that are made by the Telltale series, like the Batman Telltale series, Batman the Enemy Within Telltales, and the Walking Dead Telltales, which makes sense when you actually look at who are the people involved in Dispatch, which some of the developers and people who wrote this game are actually people who wrote and worked on the Telltale games. The game really adapts very well and makes it very awesome and honestly amazing and enjoyable to play, where it lets you make the choice to play and make you choose how you talk or act in the game. Which goes into the next thing, which is my prediction. With the amount of characters going to be in the second season of Dispatch, I honestly hope that they have a lot planned. Of course, I would like to see more of Robert Robertson and Invisigal, and Blonde Blazer and Flambe and Punch Up, and of course Malevola and Sonar, which highly likely we will probably get a lot more gameplay with those characters, but I'm honestly pretty sure that based on what we've seen in Season 1, I wouldn't be surprised if in Season 2, we get a continuation of the storyline that Robert Robertson has with either Invisigal or Blonde Blazer, or maybe some of the other characters. Now, until we get more information about the second season of Dispatch, I can't really get into more depth about what I kind of predict for the game. But I will say, I have some top 3 suggestions for the future of the game. Starting off is how Robert acts and chooses his decisions. It would be really awesome if we had a lot more variety, maybe a few more decisions in the next season, and a lot more choices. And of course, a lot more time to act as Robert, as either Mega Man or just Robert Robertson, the dispatcher, on the phone. And it would be even more cool if we get more in-depth information about the superheroes and family and life of Robert Robertson and many of the other characters within the SDN and universe of the current timeline of Dispatch. The next thing I would really like to see, which is something I think is a very good suggestion that I think the developers should definitely work, is letting you be able to play the game even more, even if the story for the game is completely over. This means that any main gameplay that isn't a part of the story can continue letting you play. So instead of, hey, I finished this episode, you got to work on to the next one, or you got to wait till the next one comes out, you can at least play some side quests that have nothing to do with the actual story itself and won't affect it. But I can understand if that is too much. I also see a lot of full potential in other parts of the game, which brings me back to the first suggestion, which is more information about in-depth about the characters, which would be awesome, which if we got a more in-depth story of some of the other characters, or at least lead to a possible hint of a spin-off game which will be connected to the Dispatch universe that is about one of the other characters like Phenomenon or even the other SDN facility in downtown. But that's okay. But also, I would like to see that if we might face up against the first villain that we've seen in Dispatch, the first main villain. We might see him come back depending on the choice you made, but if not, maybe we can still get something that hints back to the first villain, or at least give us a more clear information about how the characters are going after the events of the first Dispatch game. Now, on to the next suggestion. It would be nice to see a lot more kind of story development into the second season. Maybe introducing a character that connects to these main characters from the main story, that works with them, that is within the law enforcement. This could be a detective or a bunch of cops that help work with SDN and the superheroes involved. That gives the story a lot more options of choices and decisions to make. And also, it'd be really nice if one of the characters we get introduced to in the next season could possibly have a good relationship and friendship with Robert. Maybe a good friend that can be his bro or his best friend, and get to hang out with this other person that is not a superpowered individual, that isn't just Blonde Blazer. Now on to the next suggestion. It would be interesting to see if Robert continues to be Mecha Man or if he will still be the dispatcher. Or have an option where, depending on the story, you can actually have that Robert goes and aids the Z-Team, bust crime, and take down crime within Los Angeles as Mecha Man if required. This will give Mecha Man a more powerful image in the story, and give us more abilities to just be the character. Now, I'm going to say that I still think the game is great so far, and I don't really see them ever possibly taking up some of these suggestions, but it would be nice to see where the game goes. And before I even go on, the last suggestion is to the developers. If they are watching, and hopefully if they are, they can hear me say this, with maybe just when the second season comes out for Dispatch, we can get a lot more options and maybe an alternative storyline. Maybe a storyline where we can lead into a different timeline or something else. I don't really know, but I just would like a lot more storylines, and maybe finish a lot of the storylines that we haven't yet finished from the first season. Like, what will happen to Chase and Blonde Blazer when it comes to that amulet? When will it be tied up? And how does Robert now work as both Mecha Man and the Dispatcher, now that Mecha Man is back? And where is all the other characters going to lead to, especially if you forgive the former Z-Teamer who betrays you at the very end of the season? If you forgive them, will you see more interaction with them? Where does it lead? Or are we going to get a lot more with other members of the game? Now, I hope you enjoyed the video, and until next time, guys, I'll see you all later, and bye-bye.